Gyro and Johnny go to Olive Garden by Crappy Fanfics. Gyro and Johnny approach a large convenience store, looking up at the glowing 7-Eleven sign that can be seen for miles. To them, this sign meant so much, driving half an hour with a barely functioning car. But the air conditioning worked, so it'd have to do for now. Gyro only agreed to go this far with the $1 he'd found around the house, so he could see the satisfaction in Johnny's eyes. Finally, it was now time for the one thing he came 20 miles for. Flaming hot Cheetos. Gyro outstretched his arm to the bottom row, crouching down to grab the bag. Normally, his eyes would attend to the bag, but he noticed a familiar green under the aisle. Was this cash? A $10 bill, maybe? Of course not. He picked up the money, soon realizing his speculations were much more than true. $50! He rushed to Johnny, who was calmly sitting in the air-conditioned car, and showed him the money. You know where we could go? Johnny charmingly asked. Gyro turned and faced him while getting into the car. What, Johnny? Gyro, where's my flaming hot Cheetos? I really wanted those, but I guess it doesn't matter now, Johnny replied. Guess I forgot. So, where do you want to go to eat? Probably go to Outbacker. Gyro was cut off mid-sentence by the two words. Olive Garden! Johnny exclaimed, his eyes lighting up with excitement. Fine, guess Olive Garden will work. Gyro shut his door, putting the vehicle into reverse. Johnny ranted about how he thought the fat frickin' breadsticks were probably the best and most filling part of the meal from the restaurant. Gyro sighed and nodded in agreement, becoming antsy from having to return to the driver's seat and sit for another probably half hour just to reach the nearest Olive Garden. We're here, Gyro spoke as he looked over to the man beside him, halfway asleep. Johnny awoke with a thud, Gyro opening the car door, helping the handicapped man into the doors of the Olive Garden. Gyro helped him up and... I'm sorry, I've read this so many times. Until they, helped him up until they seated, gently setting him on one of the two chairs. He sat on the other, gazing down at the menu. What do you want, Johnny? Johnny stayed silent and read the options to himself, sitting on a plate of fettuccine alfredo. Johnny, what do you want for the menu? I think the spaghetti looks pretty nice, especially the Before he could finish the sentence, the waitress approached their table with 2 baskets of piping hot breadsticks. Johnny's tongue grazed over his lips, his mouth watering. He couldn't contain himself, reaching over to grab one. He swore under his breath and complained about how hot they were, yet continued to awkwardly bite into it. The waitress smiled, asking what drink the two boys wanted cheerfully. I'll take a Sprite, answered Gyro, but on the other hand, Johnny was quiet and staring at the delectable breadsticks. These breadsticks were perfect. The hard outer shell and the soft layered inside were absolutely a masterpiece by God. Johnny's gaze suddenly was split from the breadsticks and onto the man in front of him. Johnny, answer. The boy still remained silent, gnawing on the steaming breadstick. Make that 2 Sprites. Tears start to stream down Johnny's face as the waitress left the pair, his eyes still staring at the breadsticks as he began on his third one. Gyro wasn't having this. He placed his hand on his lover's cheek, wiping away the crimson tears. This was in vain, as Johnny continued eating the breadsticks until there was but one left. He looked at Gyro and smiled, splitting it in half. Gyro was most confused as he ever been. He took the breadstick and ate it immediately and one more. No wonder Johnny loved these so much. The waitress came back with a shocked expression. In front of her displayed Johnny with his pants down and a breadstick on his member, unable to get an erection from being paralyzed waist down. Johnny's eyes didn't go off the breadstick on his length and continually stared at his pee-pee, seeing as it won't grow an erection anytime soon. It was quite stupid. Johnny, what the frick? Gyro squealed. Doggo, are you scared of Olive Garden? Johnny laughed as the waitress dropped the pair's drinks onto the ground, spilling the sticky liquid on the carpet along with the misshapen cubes of ice that came tumbling with it. Gyro was completely shocked. His lips parted and an absolutely petrified look was on his face. He fricked Johnny before, but not out in public. What was he even doing anyway? Johnny can't get an erection in the first place. Gyro quickly pulled up Johnny's pants and took the breadstick off his legs in fear of getting kicked out. Johnny, seriously, stop it, Gyro added in embarrassment. Soon enough, Gyro apologized and told the new waitress their orders: Alfredo and normal spaghetti. She placed down their Sprites on the table, one in front of Johnny and the other Gyro. The waitress turned on her heel, happily walking to the kitchen to place their orders. Gyro looked over to Johnny, slightly confused and a little upset. Johnny, wait until later. Can't frick in the middle of Olive Garden. Johnny stared at Gyro, not saying anything or doing anything besides eating the breadsticks left on the table. Finally, Johnny spoke aloud, his mouth full of warm breadsticks. Gyro, please. I want your big pee-pee in my mouth. No, Johnny. The waitress came back with their order, carefully putting their orders on the table. Johnny stared at the unusual chunk of a corpse in his Alfredo. He picked up the strained skull and suddenly felt a pain in his lower stomach. Johnny just cried out in torment and agony, only for Gyro to be ultimately terrified. Was Johnny pregnant? This can't be possible. There's no frickin' way in heck Johnny, a male, could be pregnant. Gyro started to cry out of fear and joy. He would have a child, someone to pass on the Zeppeli name. But still, what the frick? How is this possible? Johnny continued to scream and cry in pain, as he could finally feel waist down and feel his erection rising. Gyro was amazed. Johnny never had an erection before his spine was shot. By then, everyone in the Olive Garden hated left was hiding away from this awful sight. Johnny, what the frick is happening? Gyro demanded. I don't know. I touched that skull corpse thing. Gyro put his hands in his own hair, at a loss for words. He started sweating as he saw his own boyfriend give birth. Johnny laid back on the table, watching as Gyro tried to help him give birth to this creature. Johnny, now for the first time in forever, bent his legs by himself on the table so they reached the sky. His member felt like it was going to explode as Gyro rubbed it up and down in attempts to help Johnny relax in labor. Johnny winced in pain and pleasure, the bottom half of his shaft expanding where the baby had started to crown. Gyro started to rub the shaft faster where the baby was. Johnny started to yelp as the baby grew closer and closer to his urethra until it was there. Come on, baby! Gyro cried out, watching as the baby started to stretch out of Johnny's pee-pee hole. So far, Johnny's pee-pee was inflated like a balloon and growing. Finally, the baby came out of Johnny's urethra about an hour. Gyro held the slightly deformed baby in his arms, looking at its face. Wait, does this baby look like Jesus or what? Gyro screamed. Oh, hey, does this baby look like Jesus or what? His boyfriend had just given birth to the Lord Jesus Christ. His boyfriend had just given birth to Jesus. Suddenly, a figure approached behind the couple, gently grabbing the baby out of Gyro's arms. He parted his lips and extended his jaw to an inhumane length, devouring the newborn, slowly chewing up the baby's flesh and drinking its fresh blood as baby Jesus cried out. He took the remnants out of his mouth, then tore out the baby's guts with his razor-sharp teeth and held them just like spaghetti. Eagerly, he plucked out the eyeballs and stabbed them with his ring finger, then put them on a stick along with the baby's ears, nose, and fingers. It was kebab with baby parts, and no one dare stop this man. Johnny and Gyro were horrified and had permanent mental scarring from this moment. Soon enough, the baby was completely digested. Who was this man? Gyro thought to himself. But then he looked more closely at the double chin on this man. It was the president, Funny Valentine. Yeah, gotta love a quick meal, isn't that right, boys? He chuckled, patting his belly before disappearing into the shadows. Now, from all this, Johnny could feel his legs after all these years. Somehow, the baby made him able to walk. Was this a sign from God? Johnny smirked, taking the breadstick and handing it to Gyro. He slid his pants off, revealing his thong. Sure enough, with Gyro's open hand, he took the hot pink thong. He began to fondle Johnny's balls and squeeze them as he shoved the buttery breadstick up Johnny's anus. Using olive oil as lube, the burning hot breadstick making Johnny wince with pleasure and pain. How was Johnny feeling this? Was it because of the baby he'd just given birth to? Who cared? Johnny began to scream as Gyro shoved the breadstick in there further, getting the entire breadstick shoved up his anus before sticking his own pee-pee into Johnny's tight anus. He applied olive oil to his fingers and his pee-pee, and continued thrusting into Johnny, mushing up the bread that was already in there. Gyro and Johnny both moaned out in pleasure as the bread stuck onto Gyro's legs and burned Johnny's anus hole. The bread started slowly to burn Johnny's anal cavity, making him scream and holler for help. By then, the olive oil started to become dry and sticky in Johnny's anus, stinging his anus and making him cry for help. Gyro quickly hushed him, kissing his neck and fricking him on the table. Johnny continued screaming and crying for Gyro to go faster, but Johnny's anal cavity was almost completely burnt up. Gyro sighed, taking off his hat and Johnny's shirt. Ugh, there's still more. Johnny grabbed another breadstick, shoving up Gyro's anus this time. The breadstick was mildly warm, which was great for Gyro. He winced as the breadstick was hard and destroying his anus hole, as Johnny picked up the pace and was thrusting it into his hand. Johnny started to stare at Gyro, pleading for him to take his pee-pee out. Gyro coolly obeyed, parting his lips to say, "What is it?" Johnny shifted his arm to the napkin. Taking out the knife, he pressed the blade to Gyro's pee-pee, cutting off the head and the shaft. Gyro screamed as the blood spurted out of his pee-pee. It felt absolutely frickin' awful. "What the frickin' heck?" Gyro yelled before he could run. He was completely pinned by Johnny. Johnny pressed the blade up to his balls, and he started to eat the pieces of Gyro's pee-pee that fell off. Gyro was crying and drinking his own tears. Johnny started to saw Gyro's balls off, eating them. Gyro was uncontrollably bleeding as his body went limp. Gyro was dead. Johnny screamed in horror as he started to vomit pieces of Gyro's pee-pee into Gyro's mouth with a simple making out session. He continued licking the blood in the nub where Gyro's pee-pee used to be. He began to frighten Gyro's dead corpse, enjoying himself off to him as he finished all over Gyro's chest in the back of the restaurant. There stood Hot Pants and Diego. They watched in horror as Johnny performed necrophilia on Gyro's corpse. Hot Pants then sat, eating her breadsticks as Diego shot Johnny dead. Hot Pants then got on her phone and posted a review on Yelp about this experience at Olive Garden. "The food isn't even good, tastes poopy, not actually Italian. The only good thing is the frickin' buttery, overly salted, fat anus breadsticks that are on par with the bread rolls from Legal Seafoods. The staff is overstressed and probably understaffed. The decor isn't even pretty, and I don't even think they have grapes. Last time I went, we were near the wine cabinet. I got like 80-ish wines. Why don't you frickin' have more wine? It's a gosh darn restaurant, and why do you have it there? Why not in the kitchen? At the ends of each table, there was these electronic menu things, and my local was like, OMG, are there games on here? And he had $5 extra into our total by getting baited by some little screen by pressing a game sign. When we were purchasing, it took frickin' forever because it kept messing up and not showing our receipt. However, the shrimp I had was pretty fun. Overall, frick Olive Garden, 3 out of 10. The end.